I love personal development, but before long, it can start to feel less like ways to improve yourself and more like one long list of things to do. More journaling, more gratitude, more steps, more meditation, more routines, habit, structure, hydration, everything. Before you know it, happiness turns into a never ending checklist and confidence becomes something you have to constantly perform. But what if the real secret isn't adding more to your life, but removing what is slowing you down? In this episode of Let's Talk Confidence, I'm going to show you 9 things there you go, that you need to get rid of in your life. Eliminate altogether if you want lasting well-being, clarity, and genuine self-confidence. And when I say eliminate, I do mean eliminate, not reduce, not negotiate with, but actually remove. Welcome to Let's Talk Confidence, the first and last place you need to go to build long-lasting confidence. I'm your host and coach, Josh Sutton. Please do give us a like and follow, review, and all that good stuff, and share it with somebody who you know needs to hear this message today, as that is the only way that we can grow and benefit more and more people. Be really appreciated. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Before we dive into the 9 eliminations, things we're going to get rid of, I want to say something to you very clearly. You're not stuck because you're lazy. You're not unmotivated. There's nothing wrong with you. The truth is, you're stuck because you're carrying dead weight. Old beliefs, old habits, old wounds, old identities, old expectations, and old versions of yourself that you should have let go years ago. There's a version of you buried under everything you were taught to tolerate. The people-pleasing, the shrinking yourself, the overthinking, the perfectionism, the pretending. This episode is not about adding more to your to-do list. It's about removing the things that are quietly suffocating your momentum and your confidence. All right, let's dive straight into it then. The first thing you need to eliminate in your life is the fear of letting go of a past version of yourself. We are all carrying ghosts, old identities and stories that once kept you safe but are now holding you back. Staying loyal to an old identity is one of the fastest ways to kill your growth. Many people do it without even realizing it. You still behave like the child who had to stay quiet, or the teenager who had to fit in, or the young adult who had to be the responsible one. You're still acting like the person who survived the last hard season, even if that season ended years ago. Your nervous system learned survival, not expansion, which is why becoming someone new feels so uncomfortable. Here's what you need to accept. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to become unrecognizable, even to yourself. If your past is writing your present, your future is already predictable. And if that's not what you want, then something needs to change. Letting go isn't failure. It's a celebratory funeral, a burial of the person that you've been up to this point. So you can finally breathe as a new person you need to become. The next level of your life requires a new you, not a recycled you. Think of like a snake. If a snake doesn't shed its skin, it suffocates. And if you don't shed your old identities, the very ones that have been holding you back, and you know they are, then the same thing will happen to your potential. Number 2, the second thing you need to eliminate is the pattern of sabotaging yourself right before a breakthrough. Guilty as charged on this one. Have you ever noticed that just as things start going well, just a bit before, you'll shut down, become numb, burn out, pull away, disappear, and it's not random, it's conditioning. Your nervous system essentially doesn't feel safe with success because with success comes unfamiliarity. So you create chaos, because chaos feels familiar. That's what self-sabotage really is. It's self-protection. You're not afraid of failing. You're afraid of succeeding and not recognizing yourself without your old story, without your old patterns. Misery, for a lot of people, actually feels very comfortable if it's all you've ever known. Often the unknown terrifies you more than the pain you're used to, usually on a subconscious level. And the closer you get to a breakthrough, the louder your inner critic becomes, not because you can't do it, but because you're about to step into a new version of yourself and rewrite your entire identity, the way that you see yourself. And the way you eliminate this is by recognizing the pattern, naming it, and moving forward even with the fear sitting right inside of you. The third thing to eliminate is toxic people who drain your energy. You cannot heal in the environment that hurts you. It doesn't matter how strong you think your boundaries are, the wrong people will always find a way to drain you. Energy drain is confidence drain, and your life is too valuable to spend it managing people who belittle you, exhaust you, or minimize you in some way. You get what you tolerate. So you either teach people how to speak to you or reduce their access to you if you want things to change. This isn't about cutting out every person in your life who isn't a perfect example, obviously. You're always going to have family members who you don't quite see eye to eye with, colleagues who you quite frankly can't escape, and people that you just don't click with. That's okay. But be mindful of situations that you find particularly draining, that suck the soul from you, that you might be able to spend just a little less time in or eliminate altogether. The fourth thing to eliminate is perfectionism disguised as high standards. Let's just say what it is. Perfectionism is fear of judgment. People label it as high standards, but it's anxiety with a more socially acceptable label. People sometimes tell me they have perfectionism almost as a badge of honour, like it's code for hard work and attention to detail. It's not true though. It's a protection mechanism against criticism, which is ultimately a protection mechanism against feeling inadequate. And the problem with this is that if something must be perfect to be safe, you'll never start anything meaningful. Done is better than perfect because perfect doesn't exist. And you know this logically. I'm not the first person to say that to you, but now you have to feel it. You need to feel it emotionally. Eliminate perfectionism and everything else in your life will accelerate because you'll be willing to put yourself out there and not fear the judgment of other people who quite frankly care about you or should care about you far less than you care about yourself. The fifth thing that you need to eliminate from your life is the obsession with having everything figured out. Again, guilty as charged on this one. It took me a long time to overcome this one. I'm still very much working on it. Because really, this obsession with having everything figured out, and for me it was like years and years and years into the future, is I've learned little more than a trauma response disguised as responsibility. You tell yourself you need a plan, that you need clarity, that you need everything mapped out before you take action, but this isn't wisdom, it's control. And feeling like everything is under our control makes us feel safe, even if it's a wild illusion. You don't need the full map. You just need the next step. Because clarity comes from movement, not overthinking. It's like driving at night. Your headlights only show you the next 100 feet, but if you keep moving, the road reveals itself, and your life works in a very, very similar way. It's about, and you may have heard the phrase, ready, fire, aim. Movement creates clarity. Thinking creates confusion. Take it a step at a time. I am so guilty of this, of wanting everything absolutely mapped out. And being prepared and planning and goal setting is all good things. But where you have to have it in place, it will be the very thing that stops you taking that next step. And that next step really is the very thing that is going to provide that clarity that you are desperately seeking. The sixth thing to eliminate is someday thinking. Someday I'll change jobs. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll sort my life out. Someday is where your dreams go to die. How many of your dreams have already been killed off because you said, I'll do that one day? And here you are all these years later, and the moment has passed. How many more are you willing to let go? Your brain loves the illusion of later because it avoids the risk of doing it now. But later never actually comes. It's not actually a time, it's just a way of thinking. If something matters, schedule it. And if you won't schedule it, stop pretending it matters. You will have seen this again and again in your own life. Things you promised yourself you'd do 10 years ago that are still left unchecked today. Look, that's okay. But the question I want to ask you today is, how many more of your dreams are you going to let go of? Whatever you've put off until the time is right is something you're unlikely to ever do. Sorry to break it to you. The seventh thing to eliminate in your life is the fantasy that success will magically fix you. More money, more followers, more status, more praise. None of it heals your inner world. Success amplifies what's already there. And that can be a hard lesson to learn. A bigger bank account cannot fix a bankrupt sense of self-worth. And hustle can hide wounds, but only until the crash. Your success is not the salvation that you think it is. It's the inner work that truly makes the difference. I've had so many conversations with people who have told me, almost out of desperation, once I get this thing, Josh, then I'll be okay. It could be a possession, a relationship, a job, career, something they've been working towards, a house, then it'll be okay. You can already see it in their eyes though. They know this won't be the case. I call it the if-then trap, where you think that all of your problems will be solved if you could just achieve this one thing. And you know on an intellectual level that this isn't true. But emotionally, you still believe it to be the case. You need to eliminate it. The eighth thing to eliminate from your life is approval addiction. Most people aren't living, they're performing. Like actors putting on a show, desperate for applause and validation. When you're addicted to approval, rejection feels like a sort of death. Criticism feels like failure. And praise becomes the oxygen. And that's because your identity is being outsourced. You've spent your life needing other people to tell you that you're good enough, instead of realizing that you already are. And some of you really need to hear this. People pleasing is self-abandonment. Abandoning the true version of you that exists in favour of a sanitized version you think will be acceptable to everybody else. And every time you prioritize being liked over being authentic, you abandon that true version of you. Your authenticity will cost you approval, and you must be strong enough to pay that price. The result of that, living life without fear of judgment, being criticised and laughing it off, not worrying what others will think of you, putting yourself out there in a carefree way that gains respect and brings about opportunities. Is it a risk? For sure. People might laugh at you, judge you, criticise you, not understand you, talk about you behind your back. The odds are they won't, by the way. I've seen that again and again. What if they rarely do? You know what's a bigger risk though? Getting towards the end of your life and realising you lived a life completely detached from who you actually are. That you lived a fake life, somebody else's life, and not a life that was true to you. That's a truly terrible place to be. And a far bigger risk than someone who you probably don't even like or respect anyway, judging you for 5 minutes before moving on with their own life. And finally, the ninth thing to eliminate in your life is the fear of failure. Failure isn't about failure, it's about what you think it means about you. Most people rehearse failure in their mind so often that they never risk success. You don't need more confidence. You need more courage. The courage to be bad at something long enough till you get good at it. You will never be a graceful master if you refuse to be a foolish beginner. Failure builds resilience. Success is built on failure, not avoidance of it. So run towards failure, because that's where your growth lives. These 9 eliminations aren't meant to shame you. They're meant to wake up the part of you that knows you're meant for more. You can't carry the old life into the new life that you want. You can't expect to see change without something changing in the first place. I hope it's the old version of you that goes, and not the future you that you are meant to step into. So consider these 9 points. Listen to it if you need to follow them. But at a minimum, pick one for you to eliminate from your life today and watch the impact that it has. I love personal development, but it doesn't need to be a never-ending list of things to do. Often it's just about removing some of the things in your life that are holding you back. That's all for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to learn more about how you can team up with me as your coach and help supercharge your own confidence and help you eliminate some of these unhelpful things in your own life, then head to joshsuttoncoaching.com to find out more. It'd be great to have a conversation. I'm your coach, Josh Sutton. Let's talk confidence.